Okay, there was somebody in the back that had a
Yeah,
question.
I was trying to ask you, in New York City, as far as I know, that the per child expenditure has gone up. I mean, it has been brought up. So, do you have any number? Do you have any number, dollar number?
It's approximately $9,000 per child.
Or
and outside the city, it's about $20,000. Okay. However, by school, it changes, and this is one of the unfair problems that goes on in the public school system. We did a study going back, I guess, into the mid-90s or so, where parts of District 24, where I teach, Middle Village, Maspeth, were getting about $10,000 per child at that time. Where I teach in Long Island City, they were getting $8,000. So even within districts, there's an unequal spending per child. So one of the things that we have to look at, and I will credit the Chancellor somewhat on that, is that he has made an attempt to equalize that funding across the board. It's an issue that came up at the last meeting as well. But what we need to do is to ensure that every public school system is well funded. I believe that public schools are the key to a better community. Why? Well, they produce better students. The students grow up and they're productive. But even on the basis of real estate, if you have good public schools, people are going to want to buy into this community. So that's why having good public schools should be the top priority, in my opinion.
it's like, what grade do you teach, sir?
I teach 3rd and 4th grade social studies. I used to teach just 4th grade for 17 years. I had them every day under my wing. We'd walk all around, we'd do everything together. Now I move around and I go in one class, I teach social studies, I go to the next class, I teach them a social studies lesson, next class, so forth and so on. I teach 5 periods a day.
There was a...
There's one question per person, please, because we're running late and we do have other people.
I cannot agree with you on that spending, because there was a case filed by one of the law firms, Wall Street law firm, against New York State. And that time, they equalized almost the spending, the city children and suburban children.
It was supposed to. The campaign for fiscal equity lawsuit, which took about 15 years to go through the system, it was tied up in the assembly, and finally, even when it passed the assembly, the governor wouldn't implement it. Okay, was supposed to provide about $7 billion, I believe, initially, for the New York City public school system. At that time, the governor wouldn't sign it. Finally, it was signed with Governor Patterson. It might have even been started with Governor Spitzer, if I'm not mistaken. And the money was supposed to be funneled down to New York City. But listen to what happened. Now we have the fiscal crisis. We have the economic problems that we have today. So what did the mayor do? What did the mayor propose? He proposed withdrawing $400 million additional dollars out of the public school system because he knew the CFE money was going to come in and could make up for it. So whereas you take 1 step forward, you always take 2 steps backward. And that's the problem in the New York City public school system. It still remains at about half of what the surrounding school districts are spending per pupil. One last question.
Gary, what's your plan for solving the garbage problem?
Right, okay. I think that what we have to do is to ensure a second pickup along 37th Avenue. I think that's one of the most important things. That would be another top budget priority that I would fight for. I'm a strong believer in the broken windows theory. And I believe that if the window is broken and it's not repaired, then something else is going to happen that's going to make everything else deteriorate a little bit more quickly. So I believe that we need to quickly address that issue. One of the things that we have been successful in doing so far, much to the credit of Assemblyman Jose Peralta, but I worked with him on it, okay, was to bring the Doe Fund into this community. Assemblyman Peralta was the first person to get the Doe Fund. He took the money out of his discretionary funding because he knew that it was a top priority. And that's why the Doe Fund is here today. Now, other people have come in and given money to that Doe Fund since that time, but it was Assemblyman Peralta who initiated that. And I think things like that. When you talk to me about garbage, I have been a volunteer for the Jackson Heights Beautification Group for the last 13 years, 17 years, okay? Every year I was planting flowers along 75th Street. And ever since Lee Hughes started with the Saturday cleanups, I have been there almost on a monthly basis. As of late, maybe not quite monthly because I'm running the city council, but you could count on seeing me at most of those events. Friends of Travis Park, So I know, because I've actually swept up the dirt in this community.
Please, one last question.
No,
For me,
Sure,
please, you're talking about sanitation and cleanup of the DOP program. I just wonder why the east section of Jackson Heights is never cleaned up by this program. It's a matter of fact that with Peralta,
Which section?
the east section of Jackson Heights, I'm talking about from 89 to Junction Boulevard.
I know that there was funding provided by Senator Peralta, Senator Hiram Montserrat, from about 104th Street down to 79th Street,
When?
recently.
You
I don't know
mean
that, I'm not
recently?
100% sure that it's there
May I
now.
say this to you? The program that you mentioned, I was a co-founder of the program, helping Jose Peralta to do it. And we clean up this section of the community. And now, for the second time, Helen Sears installed the program, but they never went to 90th Street and over
But
to
Ralph-
Johnson Boulevard. We are part of Jackson Heights too.
And Helen was not on the original
No,
bringing
no.
of the, she was not there.
No, I
Okay,
understand that.
right, but there are Doe Fund people, I believe that they're still there from 104th down to 79th Street along Roosevelt Avenue. They are there from 82nd Street down to 72nd Street on 37th Avenue, and I think that they even go around 74th Street and 73rd Street and 75th Street.